Life goes on. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of screen. Headline,
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the September 30th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Benched, the app. Never get a zero on your fantasy team. Never have an open slot. Download Bench, the app today. Talk your trash, keep your pride, deliver some spite to your opponents. Okay, guys, rough week. Not a good one. But, you know, it's funny how you feel when you go to bed Sunday night when you're miserable. Then you get up Monday and you've got a little bit of rest and you've chilled out. Anyway, Joe Terosian, thank you for sticking with me. We came on early today because these Monday Night Football doubleheaders just don't work with a 5 o'clock start. And I want you guys to be able to see those games and enjoy those. I want to enjoy them too. So that's why we're going early and maybe go long. We might be on the air till 5 o'clock, depending on how everything goes today. So thank you for joining us. Quick note to Ram fans. Your answer is not bringing Blake Corum off the bench, right? Your answer is not bringing Blake Corum off the bench. Your answer is not a better defense. Of course, everyone likes a better defense. There's some moves the Rams could make that maybe would make a little bit better. No, the answer is found in the inefficiency of your offense in the red zone. And this is really where Nakua's and Kupp's absence shows. And there's a small granite rock there of stubbornness on Sean McVay's part that we can get into. I said last Friday, I like the Rams this week. But my hope is that this wasn't the week that Caleb Williams gets it all together. Caleb Williams didn't get it all together on Sunday, but he made it work, didn't make the critical turnover. He made it work. He managed that game for a rookie. You can see where he's going to get better. Also, if you look at the Rams' grades against the run, okay, now I think you could watch the game and you could have come to this opinion, but even PFF somewhat bears it out. The Rams' top three there on the defensive front, Bobby Brown, Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner, they all graded out above average, right? The pass rush with Fisk, Verse, and Young was good. The coverage with Curl, Kitchens, Trey White, and Kobe Durant, not so great. It's easy to blame the defense. Literally low-hanging fruit there to blame the defense. Trading Ernest Jones, no Aaron Donald. But here's the thing. The Bears scored 24 points. And one of those touchdowns you could take right off the board because it was a strip sack right there at the Rams' 20-yard line. The defense didn't give that up. In fact, the defense actually put him in a position before Trey White got hit with PI in the end zone. But the defense didn't give up that point. You got to take that touchdown off the board, right? That's 17 points. And then there was the DeAndre Swift run, 36-yard run, right? I had to hear a podcaster go about how DeAndre Swift was just hammering the Rams, right? Right? Do you know what DeAndre Smith's run total was outside of that? He ran for 93 yards on 16 carries. Outside of that, he ran for 57 yards on 15 carries, less than 4 yards a crack. He didn't brutalize the Rams. Rams gave up a play. Still, you attribute it to the defense, right? But that's a fluke thing. It happened. They blocked perfectly. People got caught out of position. It happens. In the NFL, however, if your defense only surrenders 17 points, it's really putting you in a position to win. It's really putting you in a position to win when your defense, especially this defense, as young as it is only giving up 17 points. And you could see the pressure they were putting on Caleb Williams yesterday, right? We saw Jared Verse actually finished a couple of those sacks yesterday. Of course, they'll never appear on the books because of penalties in the secondary, but we saw those things. The defense gave up 17 points. The issue here is the offense. If you've watched the NFL, everyone knows this. I was sick to my stomach on the second drive when the Rams had to settle for a field goal, right? You get field goals on your first two drives, and instead of being up 6-0, you'd be up 14-0, or at the very least 10-0. But when it was 6-0, it was leading to disaster. When the Rams finally got off the field after the Bears' third possession and the Bears punted and the Rams had the ball, you know, I don't know, your Ram tuition, right? You've followed football before. It's like, ooh, my whole goal in that series was let's get away with a punt. Let's get away with the punt. A score would be better, but let's get away with a punt because that was the moment where you felt like, they could turn the ball over. Sure enough, they turned the ball over, right? Everyone's on Jordan Whittington and Colby Parkinson because they didn't stop Montez Sweat. Guy that was a one-off, probably shouldn't have happened, but the Rams have done it before, okay? It happened, and the Bears capitalized on it, and it was 7-6, and then we saw what happened. Looking at the offensive line as of today, Alaric Jackson graded out pretty well, 69 in pass protection, 91 in run. Logan Bruss, they had him bottoming out at pass protection, 22.1, but I don't think they have any more than one pressure assigned to him, so I'm not getting that. Run, 53. Bo Limmer, 31 and 61 in the run. Kevin Dotson, 76 in pass protection, 73. I thought I saw some pressure come Dotson's way, but that's okay. Rob Havenstein, 78 out of pass protection, 63 in run, but it really looked like I didn't think the offensive line looked as good as it looked the previous week. But again, I think it was enough. The note to Sean McVay, my buddy Sean, because I know you watch the show, the note you guys all have to send to McVay this week is, bro, pound the ball. Just pound the ball. Pound the ball until you can't pound the ball, and then pick your spots, right? Hunter Long, everyone was talking about the Rams using 12 personnel last week. Hunter Long only got 13 snaps. Bring him out there, use him as a blocker. You don't have to target him. Make him your de facto third tackle and leave him out there and just pound the ball. Because here was the thing. That offensive line was getting a push. It was getting a push, right? And it was on that Bears third drive I talked about where you see Verse had 2 sacks overturned by penalties in the secondary. It was very frustrating. And then once the Rams looked like they were going to get out of that turnover, Trey White got flagged in the end zone. Yeah, it wasn't a great day for Trey White, right? And then, of course, Josh Carty missed the kick, but he bounced back. And I loved how they mentioned how he compensated for the win the next time, and he put that thing through and such. So, Josh Carty was okay. Guys, I see the questions piling up. I promise I'll get to them right there. Let me just get through this initial blast. Finally, it boils down to this. It's my whole life. I've seen the Rams win in Chicago. The Rams can win in Chicago, but they never play well in Chicago. There's something about it. They just don't play well in Chicago historically, at least from 1973 on. Rams gave the Bears exactly what we talked about last week. You can't give them life with a turnover. This is a culture that feeds off its defense. It's like Steelers. It's like the Steelers. Their offense can suck, but the next thing you know, TJ Watt gets a sack, gets a strip sack or something, and all of a sudden it gives a boost to the offense. It's like liquid Schwartz to the offense. And that's sure enough what the Rams did. They turned that ball over the worst possible time, the worst possible place on the field, gave them momentum, right? Other aspects of the game, did you see Tutu Atwell, right? Can't play. Why is Tutu Atwell up there? Can't play. On top of his catches, he also collected another defensive PI, right? He's got the Joe DiMaggio of this. He's got a PI streak of collecting pass interferences. I thought Kyron Williams did a good job, but I also was amazed the Rams have a lot of confidence in Ronnie Rivers. And you see when he's in the game and they're giving him the ball and you're seeing what he's doing. And this is why Blake Corum is where he is on the depth chart, right? Listening to Mark Sanchez. I don't mind Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez sounds like he works and studies and works hard. Got no problem with Mark Sanchez. I enjoy him better than Troy Aikman. but I don't find the Rams offense explosive. I couldn't believe, I don't know where he got that. He was talking about giving the ball back to this explosive Rams offense. And we've seen nothing explosive this year, right? And we're not going to see much explosive until the big dudes get healthy. And then here's the other one. We're down, the Rams are down 17-9. They get the touchdown right after I think it was after the DeAndre Swift touchdown. And you get back in the game, but you've pounded your way down the field and you're going to go for 2. Great call. Go for 2. But then you throw the fade. You throw the fade. You're pushing them. This offensive line is getting a push. Bring Hunter Long in. Do what you need to do to load up, and don't throw the fade. It's like I'd much rather have seen Stafford do a naked bootleg or something, but to throw the fade, it just irritated me to all in because it could have tied the game up at 17-17. End result here is run the ball, short and sail, run the ball. Just pound, pound, pound. The offensive line can push. The struggle is they struggle in protection because it's young guys, and run the ball in the red zone. Just run the ball in the red zone. I run it until we complain about you running the ball in the red zone, right? And overall, the Rams just didn't play well, right? They looked a lot like a team we saw last year. The Rams, they looked a lot like they did last year early in the season. The young defense is finding its way. I'll take that 1 touchdown off the board, okay? They gave up 17 points. The Rams had an opportunity to win this game, but offensively, they spit the bit, and they just need to tighten up the ship. They need to get back on sync. And I think what is happening is in that red zone, there's a lot of space for those guys to work. DeMarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, who's really coming along. There's a lot of space there for them to work when they got the full field. But when you got the condensed field in the red zone, especially, I am so sick of 1st and goal at the 9, right? I every time it seems like the Rams get a 1st and goal, it's 1st and goal at the 9. How about a 1st and goal at the 3, right? But every time they're there, it's a condensed field. And while those receivers are obviously professional receivers, capable receivers, did do a good job, they're not Nakua or Cup. And that does make a difference. I'll even go a little bit further, and I know this one is a reach for me because I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the guy, but even Higbee not being there is a deal right now until there's familiarity. Finally, my last thing is, Stafford got smacked in the face. Stafford got smacked in the face at the end. I've seen that call less done and the call made on that. So bottom line here, season's not over. It's not pretty, but as Steven's still saying, if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. And right now, the Rams are in the NFC West. Frisco is a banged up 2-2. This gives me hope. The Cardinals are 1-3. This gives me hope. And let's extend that hope and really root for Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and Jared Goff to do us a solid against Seattle tonight and bring Seattle back to earth, because we'll have 2 games left with Seattle. They'll be 3-1. There'll only be a 2-game separation. Maybe thinking Super Bowl is over. Maybe right now thinking NFC Championship game is over. We'll see, because we'll see what it looks like when the receivers come back. We'll see what it looks like when you get Jonah Jackson and Steve Avila back. We'll see what it looks like, and then you can have loftier goals. But as long as we're at where we are, we're where we're at right now. My feeling is that this division gives you an opportunity to stay alive. The Seahawks have not beat a convincingly good team this year. So Detroit has a shot to bring them back down to earth. They've got injuries. And so let's root for Seattle tonight. So before we get to around the NFL and other places, let's look at some questions you guys have popped in there, and let's go. Tim Burns, red zone results suck. 1 for 4. Cardi is the real deal, and we need him. Yeah, thank goodness Cardi is there. Could you imagine sucking in the red zone and then not having a kicker who could put it through the uprights, right? Bill, it's time to replace our 2 linebackers and Bobby Brown. How could it hurt? Again, I'll say there's always an upgrade there. There's always an upgrade for Troy Reeder and Christian Roseboom. I will say that. But this defense held the Bears to 17 points. Forget the strip sack that put them at the 20 or at the Rams 19. But Bobby Brown, for right now, there's no one to replace him with. And again, I'll make the argument where the Rams need to make moves in the interior. But there we go. Let's see, Steve Ramirez. Wish they have one game starting at PM for a true doubleheader. I agree, Steve. Yeah, Monday Night Football, it's a disaster. I don't get it. That's ESPN. It's the NFL. They don't have any competition, so they can do whatever they want. Tim Burns, 15 of the 25 running back rushes went for 5 yards or more. Better yards per carry from Kyron and Rivers. Pound them, right? I just looking at Ronnie Rivers yesterday, I'm just thinking, boy, there's a lot of trust in him. They have a lot of trust in him. And to me, it just tells me Blake Corum just needs to grow more. He just needs difference between being a star in college and being a professional. And Ronnie Rivers has that on him right now. Tim Burns, Roseboom and Reeder are having good seasons so far. Yes, they're having seasons that are good for them, right? Good for them. But could you improve on that? Obviously, we know we can improve on that. But you know, what are you going to do? Again, it's not the reason I think the Rams are struggling right now, but there's always room for improvement. And these guys, you know, Reeder played to his level. He played above his level last week against the 49ers. He played to his level this week, but still it didn't destroy us. Bill, that one turnover that led to the touchdown killed us. Yeah. Couldn't you feel it coming? I mean, we only scored 6 points, 2 possessions, 6 points. They get off the field. You know, that third Bear drive drove me crazy. You know, all the penalties, knocking out the sacks, but they still got off the field. And my feeling, I'm sitting in the RamCave. I was watching it alone because I was watching it on delay. I had service in the morning. I came in, I did all the work I had to do so no one would talk to me. Stayed off social media. Thank you, no one texting me. And I'm looking at that. As soon as they got that possession, that third possession after the Bears punted, I'm just thinking, go 3 and out, punt, get it to the other side of the field. This is just not good mojo. It just felt wrong. And sure enough, what was it? The first play, they strip sacked Stafford. Yeah, that did truly kill us. Steve Ramirez, sack fumble was the difference in the game. Preach. There you go. So I'd ask you, Steve and Bill, did you think the defense was horrid or deplorable or just completely off the charts bad? I'm not saying it's the steel curtain. I'm not saying it was the 79 Rams. I'm not saying it was the 2000 Ravens. But was it that bad? I think it was good enough for the Rams to win. Let's see here. Tim Burns, I'm saying again, Xavier Smith needs plays drawn up for him. He needs touches. You know, the one thing I was thinking about Xavier Smith is that you know that Taylor dude for the Bears has like a monster boot, right? I think I would have wanted him to have more touches returning a punt. I think I might have moved him back 10 yards and said, dude, field that thing. You know, if you trust him to field a punt against the 49ers in the biggest game of the year last week, let him field a punt at the goal line. Let him do it. Let's see, right? He did have 2 offensive snaps, and I think it's slowly building. Tim Burns, Stafford has 2 TDs in 4 games. It's either play calling, time in the pocket, or Stafford is having a slow start. We need to address that. I think it's some of it's time. Some of it is also getting familiar with the receivers. Again, he elevates those guys. And I will say this. I used to use this term a lot in 21 and 22. PTDS. Stafford still has a little bit of PTDS. What's PTDS? Post-traumatic Detroit syndrome. And that's the syndrome that causes him fall a little bit into Messiah mode, causes him to fall into a little bit of that, I have to make it happen or it's not going to happen. And I think that still plagues him a tiny bit. It's just his nature because you get your butt pounded for 13 years in Detroit. You know what to expect and you get kind of conditioned. The neural pathways get set. And I think sometimes he does have a little PTDS. And so he needs to rein that in. But I also think Sean McVay needs to help him with the play calling. Heaven's Gate and Hell's Flames. The red zone, I just don't get some of the calls there. I just don't get. Let's see here. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, what did you think of the game? You weren't in the office with me. No one else was. I had to watch the whole second half standing up. I was so frustrated. I couldn't stay at my desk. So I usually, if I'm alone, I'll pop open my a doc, and just start taking notes. Things I want to talk about. Trying to anticipate what you guys may ask. But I watched the whole game standing up because I was angry. Yes, I was having a perfectly great Sunday ruined by inefficiency in the red zone. Tim Burns, DeMarcus is the latest Robinson at wide receiver for the Rams that is inconsequential. No needle to move. I don't know. I don't have a problem with DeMarcus. Again, he is what he is. He's a third receiver, and the Rams are currently without a number one right now, right? And they got Jalen Johnson on that team. I think when he gets an opportunity, he's okay, but it struggles. J. Crew, the bad play call in the red zone. The play call in the red zone was really bad. Absolutely. Bill, this week's game is big. If we win, we got the Raiders coming off the bye, and we are 3-3. Yeah, the only problem is Jordan Love's back, and he was down 28-0. I think it was. Was it 20? No, that was Alabama. But whatever it was, he was down, and he rallied. He got them within 2 points of the Vikings yesterday. Now, they did lose Christian Watson. My advice to McVay is shorten sail and run. Keep Jordan Love off the field and get touchdowns instead of field goals, right? Everything's still open. Just looks a little harder right now. Steve Ramirez, even back in my youth, I can remember, I think, 69 Rams barely beating the Bears 9-7. Then there is a Broadway Joe's last game. Yeah, that rainy Monday night in Chicago, I do remember that. Absolutely. And again, better Rams team that just doesn't play well in Chicago. Tim Burns, McVay throwing the fade when you have 15 runs over. Yeah, there you go. You heard me. There you go. Yeah, part of the reason I was standing up and molting in the RamCave yesterday. J. Crew, the Rams screen game is either really bad or the defensive coordinators have to figure it out. I saw some commentary. Part of that struggle with the screen game is the, running Logan Bruss, Bo Limmer out there, not having familiarity, because there is a kind of a ballet to the screen game. That might not be the whole issue, but yeah, it's not necessarily happening, is it? And it's not necessarily happening. I agree. J. Crew, let's get to 500 before we start thinking playoffs. Playoffs? You're talking playoffs? Again, the division is going to allow you, I think, if the 49ers continue to get banged up and the Cardinals be the Cardinals and the Seahawks come back down to earth, the division is going to allow you to think, man, 9-8, close to 500. You don't finish 500 anymore, 8-9 or 9-8. It is going to put you in a position. Now, it's way ahead of the cart, right? I agree. So one game at a time. Tim Burns, Stafford got Caton Clark in the head. You know how prevalent CDS, Clark derangement syndrome, is. There you go. Bingo. J. Crew, should Trey White be starting now that Witherspoon is back? They did activate Witherspoon. And I'm going to mention it a little bit later, they opened the window on Darius Williams to start working out. So the Rams have 3 weeks to activate him at any point. It's hard to say with Trey White, right? It's hard to say. You see the penalties. You don't see him getting crushed. The couple of those dump offs to DeAndre Swift crushed us. A little bit down in the red zone we got crushed, but he's not horrible. But you want him to be better, right? You just want him to be better and maybe just getting the rust off. I'm glad Witherspoon is back, though. We'll see. Negretti, the Rams need better linebackers. They do need better linebackers, but I don't think the issue right now is linebacker. I think the Ernest Jones trade, worse than anything else, the Ernest Jones trade just allows people to say and complain about Ernest Jones not being here. Manny, you're here. What's up, Manny? Good to have you. I'm sorry we're always missing you. Bill, in the second half, it seemed like we always started inside the 10. Yeah, that punter of theirs did a heck of a job. Manny Correa, Omar Spates is still waiting. Play him. I think as soon as he has footing, I think they will. As soon as he has footing, I think they will. And understanding, I think they will. Steve Ramirez answering my question, what did I think of the defense? What he thought of the defense. And Steve Ramirez answered, sports writer answers, I think the defense was good enough to win, but the momentum changed after the sack fumble. Yeah, you gave them life. The Bears and Steelers are cut from the same tree. They live off their defense, and their defense makes a play. It gives the offense like a 15 to 25% boost. It's just how it works. It's in the DNA of those teams, right? Manuel Correa, our red zone sucks. There you go. Tim Burns, as a pastor, is it hard not to swear at the screen during games like on Sunday? Mother Puss Bucket is one of my favorite expressions. Mother Puss Bucket, yeah, is one of my favorite expressions. And then I generally say, that's right, don't make any effort whatsoever. But, I'm not going to say I didn't think it. Tim Burns, our punter, popped a long one yesterday. Kicking game looks solid. I agree. Steve Ramirez, Braves clinch. Sorry, not by Diamondbacks. Okay, Braves. Mets clinched earlier. That's what I was happy about. That was only a one-run game through the 7th, the second game of that doubleheader. It had to be nervous time for Brave fans. There we go. Mets are in the playoffs. I'm happy. Hey, guys, I appreciate you guys being with me and let me go through the questions there. Around the NFL and other places, we touched on it. Doubleheaders on Monday Night Football are awful. I hate them playing concurrently. Start them earlier and make them separate games. We've said it. Steve Ramirez has said it. Titans Dolphins. I took the Titans in my opening, my predictions on Friday, but I've hedged my bets a little bit on Miami because Tyler Huntley's starting tonight, and Tyler Huntley's played big games before, and so I think he's better than Will Levis, and so there is this part of me that's going Dolphins tonight now. So I'm making a switch, Dolphins over the Titans, and because I like Tyler Huntley. Frisco, Fred Warner turned an ankle. Didn't play in the second half. That's something that, again, lingers all season. We saw Rashee Rice for KC gone. What was that with Anthony Richardson yesterday? Did you see that? He gets bounced. They put him back in. And this is the thing with Richardson. There's another guy. That guy, they just have to put something on him that just says you are not leaving the pocket, at all. You gotta do this most of the time, at least through the first 3 quarters with your arm, because he's just taking a punishment every time he runs the ball. This is interesting for the Rams' sake. Christian Watson, Packers wide receiver, high ankle sprain. Now they got a whole slew of receivers there in Green Bay, but just something to think about. Alvin Kamara played yesterday's game with some busted ribs. Good for him. The Tom Brady, Baker Mayfield spat or a little back and forth is interesting. Mayfield talked about, hey, it was really tension filled. I'm just being me and having fun. And I just love Tom Brady's answer here. This was just so perfectly Tom Brady. You got to love him for it. I thought stressful. This was Brady talking. I thought stressful was not having Super Bowl rings. There was a mindset of a champion I took to work every day. This wasn't daycare. If I wanted to have fun, I was going to go to Disneyland with my kids. There's a way to approach this game, and it's with the right mindset to push each other outside our comfort zone, and great teammates do that. Go Tom Brady, man. You get it. And 7 rings to back him up, and with a different franchise. Still the GOAT. Although we'll have a conversation about Mahomes if he pulls something off this year. And remember when Brady was in Tampa Bay, 3 consecutive playoff appearances and a Super Bowl. So go for Brady. Coaches on the hot seat. Mike McCarthy backed off a little bit. Gerard Mayo, no one's even paying attention. Eberflus backed off a little bit. Dennis Allen had a good performance in New Orleans. Well, the team had a good performance, but took a 58-yard field goal to beat them. Coaches on the hot seat. Doug Peterson, Jacksonville had a shot. They were up late, and they're still 0-4, so there's issues there. Robert Saleh. Someone's got to get canned there. Either Nathaniel Hackett or Saleh, or somebody's got to go. That losing to Denver yesterday was awful. So Saleh has to move up that list. And then Nick Sirianni. Philly is a brutal town, and I cannot believe he has to be staying in Delaware right now, or Scranton. I just can't see him living in Philly currently. And why they just didn't give the ball to Saquon Barkley 35 times, I'll never know. Before we go to break here, Dikembe Mutombo passes away at the age of 58. Mutombo was a good dude. You loved watching him play. You loved his smile. I was sad to hear he passed away of cancer this weekend. All right, I'm Joe Terosian, a sports writer for 21 years. And now I do RamView, thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law. Be sure to check them out. Believe me, you got an auto issue in terms of question and injury. Kistler Law is the team to call. I know that firsthand myself. Also, Bench the App is supporting us right now. And if you're having issues with your fantasy team that you can't kind of keep up to date with it, especially if you're in 4 leagues like I am, if you're tired of losing your fantasy game because you forgot to check your lineup, with Bench the App, it's the thing of the past. Benched is the only app that ensures you never leave a non-starting player in your lineup. Don't miss out on crucial points. Don't be the one who forgot to bench a player on game day. Win your league, keep your pride, deliver some spite, and let Bench the App handle the rest. Download Bench the App today. It's free, and dominate your fantasy season. And I also write books. My latest book is Game Day in the RamCave. It is a novel, and it is an NFC championship game between the Rams and Packers at SoFi. And I've had some really good sales so far. If you guys get this, let me know. If you read it and you like it, leave a review on Amazon. Reviews on Amazon are gold. But thank you for your support. Continue if you can. I do appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. A couple other things we want to talk about. College football report. I don't want to go too deep into it, but Alabama's my number 1 team right now. And USC horsed around with Wisconsin. I don't know what they were doing on Saturday. Fortunately, they got things in gear. The right call, I think, was made in Virginia Tech, Miami, because I think everything there, it didn't look like he had the ball to me. And the heartbreaker for Georgia, you come all the way back. I mean, all the way back. And you don't even get to enjoy it for a full minute. You know, that kid, was it Jalen Ross? I forget his name. The kid that made the play for Alabama. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So I got Alabama number 1. I'll give you my top 10 on Wednesday, or maybe before the show's over if we go long. Let me see what we got here. Working our way down. Questions that came up. Boom, 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 boom. Tim Burns, Sup Manuel, there we go. Punker, good game with good breaks clinch. J. Crew, why draft Corum and not use him? Should have used that draft pick for another offensive lineman. I think the thing is you're going to see Blake Corum play, but right now the issue isn't running back J. Crew. Kyron Williams is playing at a high level, and Ronnie Rivers is backing him up very well. And I think honestly, it's their expertise at protecting Stafford. That's what I think it is. They've got an advantage over Corum in terms of pass protection. It doesn't mean Corum's a bust. It doesn't mean he's not going to play. If we get into this role next year, then we got an issue. But again, he's just got to be cool because he was a 3rd-round pick, so they're not paying him a lot of money. No one else was jumped up. Everyone else passed on him. So he's in a good place right now. We just have to be patient. And again, like I said, Kyron Williams is going to have to do something so off the charts this year and maybe next for the Rams to extend his contract beyond next year. We have him this year and we have him next year. And then if you look at Rams history and what's going on in the NFL these days, likely they're going to let him walk, right? And we know Ronnie Rivers isn't the long-term guy. So the world will be changing for Blake Corum. It's just not right now. Let's see. Bill, does Snead pull the trade button? Yeah, the question comes back to what we were talking about on Friday. Well, what do you trade for? I looked at the rosters here, and I'm looking at teams with good cornerbacks. They're all winning right now, and kind of questionable. What do you want to give? Is there a Jalen Ramsey type out there that someone's willing to give up? And I don't know. I don't think there is right now, and so you got to be careful. I think a defensive lineman. A defensive lineman would help, even though the defense I said played respectably. It wouldn't hurt to have another guy in that rotation. Now, also, just news on that is the Rams opened the window on Darius Williams. They also did that on Larrell Murchison. So what would the Rams trade for? There was that speculation from Peter Schrager today where he said it was just his speculation, not the Rams. Good for him about if they were the Chiefs, he was the Chiefs, he'd make a move on Cooper Kupp, and I'll talk about that in a second. Tim Burns, since none of you likely know his name, I want to hype Brent Rooker, Oakland A's, batted .293, 39 homers, 112 RBIs, top 12 in most categories in his second full season, future All-Star. I actually had Brent Rooker on my fantasy baseball team, Mr. Burns, so put that in your pipe and smoke it. Bill, if you had to make a trade, for what position would you trade for? I would trade defensive line. That's what I would go for. I think we've got pressure. We're getting pressure on the quarterback from the ends, from the edges. You've already invested in the safety spot. I think John Johnson's a big deal right now because I don't think we're getting any clicks right now to Cam Curl and Kitchens in a really good way. That they need help in that secondary. Maybe corner, but again, it's like who's willing to give you a shutdown corner right now, and then there's just that awkwardness of, you've invested the 3 guys on the front line, Avila, Jonah Jackson, and Dotson. They're tied up through 2026. So the Rams aren't going to mess with that. Havenstein looked like he was having a stinger issue yesterday. Still, he played fairly well. Larry Jackson's been playing well. Where do you make a trade on the offensive line? Who do you bring in? Do you make a big deal, bring somebody in, and then you sit them when Avila comes back? That's a hard thing to do. Steve Ramirez, Brady sounds like North Dallas coach BA. Yeah, but I don't think there's hypocrisy in Brady, right? I don't think Brady would convince Chris Godwin to shoot his knee up and then say, oh, by the way, I'm starting Scotty right now, So Bill, how do the Rams cap situation look for 2025? It gets better each year. And as of right now, it's okay. But you're going to have to deal with Stafford's going to renegotiate next year, most likely. Depends if everything falls apart this year. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully he stays healthy. But the Rams are in good shape salary cap wise. Things will get better going there. Jay Crew, will Omar Spates play? I think it's coming. I just don't think it's right now. Tim Burns, is Trevor Lawrence in trouble? Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. And we saw 2 years ago, Trevor Lawrence bring his team back against the Chargers and give the Chiefs fits in 2022. I think, I just think there's some disconnect going on right now between him and Doug Peterson. Now, if you're talking about a guy that needs a change of scenery, he might be a guy that needs a change of scenery. However, signed a contract. He's making the big bucks right now. And that would be something for any team to think about if they went after him. Tim Burns, as the premier Rams influencer, has Kamala Harris contacted you to endorse her? No, she is not. But then again, I come from a middle-class family, right? And I'm trying to unburden myself of what has been. So anyway, no, she hasn't contacted me. Manu Korea, Verse needs to wrap up when tackling. But Manny, did you see he had 2 sacks yesterday, taken right off the board? So we saw that improvement, that little bit of improvement. Tim Burns, props for having Rooker. He was the only thing that was positive in the athletics world. Oh, yeah, it's sad for you A's fans. Tim Burns, if we lose next week, do we shut Kupp and Pakua down longer? I don't think the Rams are in any hurry to race and get them back. I don't think they are. I don't think they're going to sell out the season because, as you see, the Cardinals are 1-3. The Frisco's a banged up 2-2, and I think Seattle might be a little bit of fool's gold right now. That maybe you're not playing for 13 wins, but you know what? You're in the NFC West, and 9 to 10 might get you in the playoffs. And so it's hard to say. It's hard to believe that so early the Rams would close up shop. I guess we'll know at trade deadline, right? Let's take a look here. Oh, there's a great post on Twitter yesterday, or X, and I am so sorry. This is not my post. I copied it, and I lost the name of the guy that posted it. So I apologize to whoever's out there. But this post was on Twitter. It says Chris Shula, who's now taking heat, right? Chris Shula is coaching a Rams defense that features 2 rookies, 2 second-year players, 2 third-year players, 2 undrafted free agents, and 2 free agent signings, and 1 player on the last year of their rookie deal. Yeah, traded Ernest Jones, AD retired, D. Will and JJ have been injured. For all that, I think Chris Shula is doing a pretty fair job. I don't see the issue as Chris Shula. Let's see. Last note on Ernest Jones, if you saw his performance last week, wasn't that great. It wasn't that great. It's going to be interesting to see how he does tonight in Miami. I mentioned that Williams and Murchison were put in the practice window so they can bring them back anytime in the next 3 weeks. Speaking of Blake Corum, I did see the link to Rams Wire that talked about, and the writer, Brock Vieira, Not downing the kid, but what a ridiculous headline. Maybe he didn't write his own headline. Not playing Blake Corum is coaching malpractice. But how stupid is that? Did you see any way the Rams were going to win that game because they put in Blake Corum and didn't play Ronnie Rivers and Kyron Williams? I just don't get it. It's like, I don't get it. It's like someone making an argument the Rams need to make a move for Bryce Young right now. I just didn't get it. Pete Schrager honestly suggested that KC should call about Cooper Kupp. And I'm going to speak heresy right now to Ram fans. I would definitely listen because I think we've seen the best of Cooper Kupp. I think we'll still get good clicks out of him if we've seen his best. And if KC wants to take his contract and give the Ram a few pieces back, awesome. It sounds awful to think of him going, but it is the business, right? But here's the thing. I don't think KC, which has been decimated by injuries to its receiving core. I mean, they've already lost Hollywood Brown. That was their big move in the offseason, right? They already lost Hollywood Brown. They're already, with all their injuries with Pacheco, they already brought back Kareem Hunt. He's already getting playing time. Would they make a move on a guy like Kupp who's injured all the time, right? Would they make? I just don't think they would. And here's the thing to think about. Next year, Cooper Kupp makes 29.7 rocks. In 2026, he makes 27.3. And you're talking, Bill, you were asking about salary cap. If you were going to punt on the season, I would listen to a Cooper Kupp deal because of his contract. And I know that sounds awful. I don't want it to happen. I don't see the Chiefs doing it, though, because why trade for a guy that's hurt now? You got a room full of hurt people. I just don't see them making that trade. I still contend the Rams need a defensive presence, a space eater. I think it's easier to come by than a shutdown corner or another big-name receiver. Rams draft capital. If the Rams want to make a move without giving up too much on the present roster, say hey, we want to double down on this season and next season. Rams in 2025 have 7 picks. They have a number 1. They have 2 number 3s. That number 3 is a comp pick for Raheem Morris, and a number 4 and 3 number 6s. I don't think there's any other comp picks coming to them. And then in 2026, they have a full complement of picks 1 through 7. So could the Rams, package something together for this year? They could. They have the capital, but who's it for, and what's it going to be about? What do they see, and what are they looking at, right? I didn't see the injury report for this week. All I saw was during the game, Havenstein had a stinger. We know about Kupp. We want Davis Allen. They did not play. But Williams and Laurel Murchison are in the window. There we go. Let's see. Week 4, I'm off to a 7-7 start. I was 8-8 last week, which all that was an improvement on my first 2 weeks. Thursday, we talked about the Cowboys beating the Giants. Bengals at Panthers, the Red Rifle Bowl. Cincy wins 34-24. For where Carolina is at right now, that's just too competitive for Cincy. And I keep always hearing about how Cincy's built to stop the Chiefs. Cincy can barely stop the Panthers right now. I think there's problems in Cincy. Vikings, Packers. Vikings, they're getting closer and closer to for real, right? They held on for 31-29 victory. They had Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. They got Aaron Jones, and they got Dalton playing the best ball of his career. Yeah, Vikings, Packers. My Vikings are looking really good. Jaguars, Texans. Jags were 22 seconds away, but Stroud and Houston found a way to win, and that's a sign of a young team that's maturing. Steelers, Colts, the Roy Jefferson Bowl. Indy, 27-24. I don't know what they're doing with Anthony Richardson. Indy led 17-3 at a half, 24-10 at the start of the 4th. But Steeler Nation, Steeler fan Rob is all excited because Justin Fields threw for 300 yards. Yeah, well, when you're trailing 17-3, 24-10, you're going to put the ball in the air. And what did we talk about here? If the Steelers get by 2 scores or more and Justin Fields has to make plays, he fattened his stats a little bit, but they still lost. They lost to a team quarterbacked by Joe Flacco, right? I mean, I'm seeing him wearing number 15. He looks like Earl Morrall in Super Bowl III, right? That's how old Joe Flacco is. Broncos at Jets, Matt Robinson Bowl. What a gross fireable loss for Mr. Saleh. lousy ball, Mr. Sala. And the Broncos have found a way to get to 2-2. Eagles, Buccaneers, Tampa 33-16. If you think the Rams have problems, go look in Philly, right? Good for the Bucks, good for Baker Mayfield. Taxkins, Cardinals. I'd like to personally thank the Taxkins for crushing the Cards. I'm so grateful for that. Patriots, 49ers. We knew that game wasn't going to amount to anything. Interesting thing there, besides Warner getting hurt, really nice catch by George Kittle in the end zone. Brandon Ayuk only had 2 catches. How much are you paying him? 2 catches. 2. That's all Ayuk had. Chiefs, Chargers, surprisingly close, 17-10. When they find a way to either insert some kind of foam or something into Rashawn Slater, keep him healthy, or move off of him, this team's going to be good. You know, I know the Chiefs are banged up, but so were the Chargers, and that was a 17-10 game. Good for the Chargers. They're going to come around. The Lyle Alzado blow, Raiders beat the Browns 20-16. Pierce called out his team. He still has their ear. They should not have won, but they found a way. And I think we're just kind of done with Deshaun Watson, right? It's just over. Bobby Haber Bowl, I had picked the Saints, thought I had done it right. And then Young Hoku's 58-yarder wins it, right? If there's a guy that's built to look like he's not going to kick a 58-yarder, it's that dude, but he does. I took the Bills last night. Ravens kicked their butts. And, of course, Lamar Jackson's back in the Hall of Fame. And Derrick Henry's the greatest running back ever. He is a great running back. And Lamar Jackson is a good, very close to great quarterback. But come on, before we anoint, right? I heard briefly Coward talk about people say that Lamar Jackson can't win the big game. And he started rattling off these regular season wins. And I'm thinking, no, Colin, we're talking about playoff games. Those are the games that Jackson's proven he can't win. Titans, Dolphins. I switched my pick to the Dolphins before kickoff, going with Tyler Huntley and the Dolphins in the Ryan Tannehill Bowl. And then, hey, we're all in on the Lions and the Golden Tate Bowl in Seattle. So good for the Lions tonight. Let's get that one going. Let's see. Tim Burns. How about Cup for Devontae Adams? Devontae Adams is down now. And why would the Raiders make that trade? They don't have a quarterback who could throw the ball. Bill, if Shula doesn't work, it's time to hire outside the organization. Do you think really that's going to be the issue? I think Shula is going to work. I think he is. I mean, we'll see, but I think he is. And, if he's gone after, Liam Cohen was gone right after the 2022 season. I think he's in Tampa Bay now, but he's gone right after 2022. So we'll see right after this year. I don't think the Rams will suffer him too long if they don't think he's doing the job. Tim Burns, Andy Dalton finds his groove. He has a 101 rating. He's a professional quarterback, man, right? He's seen everything. And so, yeah, one of the few teams I heard was Alex Curry on Mighty 690, not Mighty 690, on FS1 57 here in LA. Her and some other female reporter were talking about it's shameful the Dolphins didn't have a backup in place for Tua Tagovailoa. It's like, it's stupid, right? They had Skylar Thompson, who has played in a playoff game, but he's not a high-end backup. He's not Andy Dalton. He's not Jimmy G. But no team has that. I mean, the Packers got lucky with Malik Willis, but no team has that. Look how old Joe Flacco is. They had to bring geriatric Joe back in to save the day for Indy. There are no plethora of great quarterbacks to back up starting quarterbacks here, and they make so much money. I marvel at that. Unbelievable. But Andy Dalton did well. Steeler fan Rob, only because of our defense and big mistakes at the end, Fields was bringing us back. Your defense is your bread and butter. Your Steeler fan betraying his defense. You should be like the Rams horns up community. There's a horns up faction here with the Rams that will never, ever admit the Rams did anything wrong. You have that with your Steeler Nation, right? No matter what, it's always somebody else's fault. And now Steeler fan Rob is getting real on us and blaming his defense? I can't believe that. Bill, Cup and Andy Reid are a perfect match. Both are devoted Christians. I think they would be a perfect match, but Cup's in his 30s, costs a lot of money, and he can't stay healthy. Now, if it happens, I'll be sad, but I won't be. If you get his salary off the Rams payroll and you get some chips back, I'll dance with that, right? I'll take that. Tim Burns, cornerbacks dropping 10 yards off the ball made Fields look good. Yeah, you got a 2-touchdown lead in the fourth. You are going to play a bit of prevent there. Preach, Mr. Burns. Michael Negretti, breaking news. Pete Rose passed away. Oh, wow. Pete Rose passed away. Negretti, thank you for sharing that. Wow. Anyone else out there? Steve Ramirez, you still out there? I know you're a baseball fan. Pete Rose passed away. Wow. That's, yeah. Wow. So he was about 85. I know he was born in 39. The thing about Rose is that when I got into baseball, my first season in baseball was 74 that I watched from start to finish. And he was 35 then, right? He was 40 when he went to the Phillies in 79, right? And he was just always the old guy. To me, I didn't see him play in the 60s and stuff. But now Pete Rose, wow. Never was a big fan of Pete Rose. And yeah, I don't think he belonged in the Hall of, because the cardinal rule of baseball is you don't bet on baseball. But as the game goes on and people don't care about the roids era and they start putting roids people in, and they want to put Pete Rose in, okay, but just make sure you get Joe Jackson in as well. But man, Pete Rose passed away. Wow, thanks, Mike. Rob Sorge, Fields had 104 rating. And Colin Kaepernick in his last year in the league had 16 or 14 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. Stats are could be turned anyway. It's like a financial report from the federal government, right? In a Republican's hands, it says one thing, and in a Dem's hands, it says something else, right? So take your 104 passer rating to Heinz Field there, Mr. Sorge. Tony Banks the Great. 49er fans act like they won the Super Bowl yesterday. I didn't see the game. What was it, 30-14 or 30-13? I know they lost, was it Elliott along their defensive front? They've already lost Hargrave. Warner's banged up. Hufanga still getting back into game shape. Ward is still nursing that tender hamstring. Kittle is super fragile, and Brock Purdy's been banged up this year. Trent Williams is getting older. Christian McCaffrey is still not playing. Debo did come back. I think there's real pain there in Frisco. Yeah, they should chill. Let's see. Tim Burns, what was the over and under? He dies this year, too soon? I don't know, man. I don't know. Pete Rose was 83. I thought he was born in 39, which would make him going on 85. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he was born in 39. I hated him as a youth, but as an adult, I respected him. A key member of the machine. Sad day. Yeah, that big red machine, right? Did it all end for the big red machine when they traded Tony Perez? I'd like to know what Cincinnati. There are not too many Cincinnati Red fans that I know, but what were you when you're a Cincinnati Red fan and you find out they traded Tony Perez, Mr. RBI? Who was it for? Was it for Woody Fryman and Dale Murray? Because they thought Dan Dreesen was going to be. I don't know what they thought Dan Dreesen was going to be. Steady ball player, but he wasn't Tony Perez. I'm just curious about that. Didn't Perez, Rose, and Morgan all have a reunion with the '83 Phillies that made it to the World Series? I think they both did. Wow. Let's see. Tim Burns, I'm Tony Backs the Great. I think someone's being sarcastic, Mr. Burns. Okay. Let's go back to the top here real quick. I'm going to push this just a little bit longer because we got on early and people are going to be clicking on at our usual time. We're still a 5:00 show going forward, but on some of these days, like Mondays like this, it's just necessary to go on early. And so I do appreciate you folks for sticking with me. I made the argument at the top of the show that I don't think it's the Rams defense that's the problem here. It's the inefficiency of the offense in the red zone. When you come away with 6 points instead of 14 or at least 10, you're just offending the football gods, and bad stuff's going to happen. And sure enough, on the Rams' third possession, it happened. I think some of that is the stubbornness of Sean McVay. Got to pound the ball. You just got to keep pounding the ball and do the things that make it work. I think Puka and Cooper Kupp's absence, that kind of throws off the short passing game there and the condensed field of the red zone. And while, when Atwell, Demarcus Robinson, Whittington, and even Tyler Johnson have room to operate, it works. But in that condensed area, they're not as, probably Stafford's not as comfortable with them and stuff. And so you got to pound the ball more, And then again, like I always say, it just seems like every time the Rams get a first and goal, it's first and goal at the 9 or first and goal at the 10, right? So when the Rams whiffed on those, I really felt their chances were poor. The other aspect I'll make about the defense is the defense. There's 24 points given up, but you could really take the strip sack off the board. The defense didn't give up that drive and make it a 17-point game. And then you could even raise a question about the run that DeAndre Swift had, the 36-yard touchdown run. He ran 16 times for 93 yards. But you take away that run, he ran 15 times for 57 yards, less than 4 yards a carry. It wasn't like the Rams were punishing the Rams in the run game. It just wasn't that way. And also the other thing was there too is that you saw these guys getting to the quarterback, finishing, but these plays being overturned by penalties in the secondary. Cam Curl, Cam Kitchens, Trey White, Kevin Durant, Kobe Durant, they have to play better. They're playing just a little below okay, maybe okay, but they're not playing. They're not making plays, and they have to get better. I'm expecting a little more out of Cam Curl. So it's easy to blame the defense because they traded Ernest Jones and Aaron Donald retired, but the edges are getting there. Reeder and Roseboom are doing what they're capable of. They're not, for their level, they're not playing poorly. Could there be someone better there? Absolutely, but I don't think they're crushing this team. The issue is being efficient in the red zone. Alaric Jackson, Logan Bruss, Bo Limmer, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein, they all scored fairly well in the run game, according to PFF. And we could see that. We saw that. So that kind of lines up. Then they had their struggles. They did grade out Alaric Jackson really well. They graded out Havenstein pretty well, and so did they graded out Dotson. Limmer and Bruss were dinged pretty hard with pass protection. So the note is pound the ball, play Hunter Long more than 13 snaps, right? Feel good about Josh Carty, feel good about Ethan Evans. And the Rams just can't win in Chicago. I mean, they can win. They have won, but they never play well in Chicago. They never do. And they gave life to the team with the turnover, and they gave life to the Bears through their defense, and that's what they live for. I look at the bright side, a lot of confidence in Ronnie Rivers. Tutu Atwell picks up another pass interference call. And so it's easy to give up on the team right now, but the NFC West is keeping this team alive with the Cardinals 1-3, the 49ers 2-2, and if the Seahawks can get a win tonight or get a loss tonight to the Lions, they fall to 3-1. That means there's only a 2-game separation between the Rams and the Seahawks. So everything's still alive. It hurts, it stings, but it's not over just yet. It's not over just yet. And if we're talking about making a move, I would like a defensive lineman just to toughen up that front seven a little bit. Rams have all their draft capital for this year and for next year and the year after that they could use as pieces. And then we're going to see, can Nakua, can Kupp come back, Avila and Jonah Jackson, and the Rams can stay afloat. If they could stay afloat and be, 4-5 when these guys get back, if they can be, remember they were 3-6 last year and came back. But they're going to get the Vikings this year. That's not a pushover. They got the Packers next week. They got the Bills coming. Bills are a better team than you saw last night. So it's going to be tough. So you have to clean up within the division. If they could beat the Seahawks twice, tough road. They could beat the 49ers again, take care of the Cardinals. That'll give them 5 wins within the division. And then they got to pick up some others here and there. All right, let's see what else we got. Tim Burns. Rose ruined Ray Fosse's career in an all-star game. Can't stand Rose. Yeah, when the all-star game meant something, right? Tim Burns. Is the red zone issue a player thing or a McVay thing? I say it's McVay's weakness, his decisions regarding the running game. I think he leans towards run. He leans towards run leans towards pass too soon, right? He needs to keep pounding the ball, but I also think it's a connection issue. Again, shortened field, not as much room to operate for Demarcus Robinson, Johnson, Colby Parkinson, and there's familiarity with Nakua. There's familiarity with Cup. There's familiarity even with Tyler Higbee, and those guys aren't there right now. And so I think that's hurting when they throw the ball. And then I don't know who said it. Was it J. Crew that brought it up or somebody else brought it up? Their screen game is just off right now. And I had read somewhere, someone made a comment about that. It's the ballet of, those offensive linemen knowing when to pull out and set up that's a timing issue when you set up those screens. So there's just a bunch of things there, but I just don't think it's the defense fault. Tim Burns, I'm starting to trust Tutu a little more. I like the 20 yards per reception. Oh, Mr. Burns is coming around to Tutu Atwell. Wow. Mr. Burns, go for it. There you go. Mark Reber, bunch of teams that looked way worse than the Rams this weekend. Yeah. Jets looked horrible. The Eagles seem like they've got serious trouble. Wasn't impressed with the Cowboys win. Jaguars got issues. I'm just trying to look at teams here the Rams are going to be facing. Cardinals crashing down to earth. I don't think what happened in Arizona in week 2 is going to happen again in SoFi. I don't see that happening. And we're going to see where the Cardinals are at in a couple of weeks, because as losses mount up, what's Kyler Murray's demeanor going to be, right? Patriots are horrible. Browns got issues. Just looking at these teams here, and I'm anxious to see what the Seahawks do against a good team. I'm anxious to see what the Seahawks do against a really, really good team. And the Bills, right? The Bills, I think that was an off night. Again, everyone talks Super Bowl with Baltimore, September, October, even into early November. But then the reality comes in, and until they change that narrative, that's the way it is. You could say that a little bit for the Bills, but if my game was on the line and I had to come back and win, Josh Allen's my quarterback, not Lamar Jackson. Let's see. Steve Ramirez. Creed who? Yeah, Creed who? Absolutely. Creed who? Reber, Bills, wow. Yeah, it was a bad game for the Bills. The one thing I was also noticing is people are giving up on KC. They keep winning, and they keep winning ugly. They keep finding a way. And the part cracks me up is they keep saying, Patrick Mahomes is not having a good year. I think Patrick Mahomes is having a great year. He's doing exactly what he needs to do for his team to win, and he makes the plays he needs to make. And he's playing with a bunch of receivers, running backs, and different folk that are not always that he's familiar with, but he's making it work. And I just don't understand. I think we're getting a saturation point right now with Mahomes and maybe the Chiefs, where people want to see it not work, right? So they can come down on him. But they're 4-0 because of Patrick Mahomes, not in spite of Patrick Mahomes. And you can say, our defense, right? Our defense. Well, look at the Rams defense. Rams defense gave up 17 points yesterday, realistically. They gave up 17 points. We know when your offense fails you, what it can do to your defense. So Patrick Mahomes is doing what he needs to do, and he gets done, right? He just does. And we're seeing Xavier Worthy, right? Rob Swords, Steeler fan Rob. Everyone has issues, and injuries are mounting up. Yeah, they are. The injuries are mounting up quite a bit. They are. And again, what's true now might not be true in 3 weeks, right? What's true now might not be true come Thanksgiving, right? Everyone was out on the Rams last year. Everybody was out on the Rams. And yet they bounced back from 3-6 and ended up going to the playoffs. And again, we've talked about this. A second pass rusher, a kicker, and we win in Detroit, right? And we win in Detroit. And I don't think Frisco wanted to face the Rams again in the postseason after the way they played down the stretch last year. So good Rams team. Could still be happening here. Let's see. This Dayton Rams history, not much. Vince Ferragamo on October 1st, that's tomorrow, was lost for the season with an injury. I think it was to his hand, affected him. And October 1st, 1990, the Rams signed Marcus Dupree to a tryout. And after Rams cut former USC wide receiver Jeff Simmons and signed former All-Pro cornerback, late of the Rams, late of the Raiders, Monty Jackson out of San Diego State. Mr. Burns' alma mater. There we go. Who is a better coach, Cowher or Tomlin? I'm really anti-Cowher. Let Steeler fan Rob answer that. I'm not a Bill Cowher fan. I think Bill Cowher is a bit overrated. But I would go Tomlin. I'm taking Tomlin. Yeah, I'm anti-Bill Cowher. I'll let Steeler fan Rob answer that question. Mr. Burns. Let's look at college football top 10 this week. This is what I got based on teams I've seen. Number 10, I got LSU. They're 3-1. Number 9, Oregon, 4-0. Just not overly impressed with Oregon. Penn State's 4-0. They got the win over Illinois, and but that game was tied at halftime, and I thought Illinois had a chance. I think the bigger size and everything of Penn State wore them down. USC, I'm keeping at number 7. I'm looking for an excuse to put them ahead of Michigan. I need Michigan to lose a game. So Michigan's number 6. Missouri, good team. Idle, they're 4-0. They're at number 5. Virginia Tech got that call overturned. Their touchdown overturned against Miami. Canes are 5-0. I got them number 4. I like Cam Ward. And I do think it was the right call because that ball was moving all over the place. I think there was enough to overturn the touchdown. So there you go. Georgia, I got them at number 3. They were getting their butts kicked. They bounced back. And I'm rooting against. It was killer. Great game though. Texas, the Arch Manning era is kind of starting there. They're 5-0, and then Alabama 4-0 beat Georgia. But those are the teams I've seen play. And climbing the list right now with everybody is Colorado State, right? Colorado State is climbing the list. Also, in other places, Mets secure a playoff berth. Braves win the nightcap. They secure a playoff berth. And then so that knocks the Diamondbacks out. So they will not get a chance to repeat as National League champions. And, hey, man, I'm a Mets fan. I've been keeping my mouth shut all year. And I didn't want to jinx them because they're playing above themselves. This is different than those years they had DeGrom and the pitching staff because the expectations just weren't there. So everything I'm getting from the Mets this year feels like gravy. So really happy. I don't think their chances are any worse than the Dodgers. Now, they got Shohei. I understand. But unless Shohei's pitching, the Dodgers pitching staff that could lead to an early exit. There we go. Let's see. Steeler fan Rob declares Mike Tomlin over Bill Cowher. Okay. Steve Ramirez. Minnesota got screwed against Michigan. Didn't appear Minnesota was offside on the recovered onside kick. There you go. I think the bad news was Tim Walz showed up there and put the kibosh on Minnesota. Didn't the candidate for vice president flip off a Michigan fan? Is that I saw the video. Was he really flipping that dude off? I thought, man, that's bad mojo, man. You can't do that. That put the kibosh on the Gophers that day. Let's see, just looking at stuff here. Happy to discuss all the other things we talked about. I thought Caleb Williams played a good game. Played the best game he played all year because he was in control, and that's where they need to build from. Watching them early, the first couple of possessions, I'm thinking, man, the Bears aren't going to fire Eberflus. They're going to fire Sean Waldron, right? They're going to fire Waldron, the OC, and but yet they pulled it out. Rams accommodated them and put them in good positions to win that game. I do like Odunze. I think they've got a great receiving core. They're in good shape and such. Let's see. There was a couple more notes I wanted to hit here. No injuries. I have not heard anything on the injury report for the Rams. We're going to fade out here in a minute. We've cleared the hour. It is 4:50. So I'm looking. I have not seen anything on injuries. If you guys have anything with injuries with the Rams, we'll go from there. Again, Jordan Love is back, so we'll see how the Packers look next week against the Rams. There, I want to leave it there at that. let's see. Let's answer the final questions here. Get rid of my page. And Tim Burns, he flipped them off, and Walsh motorcade forced fans to stand outside the stadium in the rain for like 45 minutes. Is that true? I didn't hear about that. He doesn't look like a football fan to me. Call me crazy, right? He doesn't look like a football fan to me. Okay, guys, you hung with me for an hour. I do believe, if not this week, next week, we are on Spotify. The Spotify thing is I'm getting notifications about Pete Rose right now. We are on Spotify from the RamCave is what it's called. But I'm probably going to be doing just a pure Spotify broadcast on either Tuesdays or Thursdays. And I'll let you know when I do it. I'll post a link. But if you could follow us on Spotify, that would really help us as we rebuild our brand there. We were off Spotify for about 8 months. I got locked out of my account and just stuff. It was the issue. So we reestablished a new account. We're on Spotify from the RamCave, and I'll probably be doing general sports commentary on Tuesday, Thursday, just audio on Spotify, calling it FanView, and I'll let you know when we start that. Okay, guys, thank you so much for hanging with me. God bless. Take care. Go Rams. Hang tough. Everything's going to get better.